what should be the preview hook? Because it usually just gives away the central thing about the dialogue,
Well,
and
I
then you're
think you
just
just got
like
to do this.
anticipating the main point the whole time,
You
and
got
then
to
they
just do
say it.
this right now, right?
What?
You just got to do this point in the video right now.
Oh, I could, yeah. Yeah, that'd
When
be good.
the meta
Yeah.
choice is there,
Coming up
take
later on. Coming
yeah.
up later on.
Coming up later on. Coming up later on. Yeah, infinitely regressive. But wait, you had Tom Berg pulled up your defensive astrology video. What are these formscapes? Stay tuned.
Dimes keep blowing me up.
Yeah, and then the classic caveat of like as soon as we press record,
Yeah.
the blank brain. What were we just talking about? Oh, I could
Uh,
completely change the subject, and it'll probably pop into your head.
yeah, it's true. Yeah.
So I want to make a bold. Um, I don't want to put it as strong as a vibe check, but I just want to say something that I've noticed.
Okay, wait.
And
I don't actually know if it's true that I'll remember it though. I think I will lose both threads. Um,
it's okay.
Let me take like 1 second just to like consider it because I think it was interesting. We're talking about how you can serve God in any situation, and then
Well, one thing I thought about along those same lines was it's like a weird brain shift that I struggle with, which is doing my best every day at this job that I'm not completely in love with, and that you know maybe there's better jobs that I could be doing that would be more fulfilling and I'd be better at, more rewarding, all of those things. But that's very different than like this is the day that the Lord has made, um, and like serve your earthly masters as if you were serving the Lord, as unto the Lord, um, LARP as unto the Lord, kind of a thing. And so like there is a sense in which, and you said this too, like I can beat myself up over um maybe not larping hard enough, you know, like and just kind of using my like
you have to be good at LARPing to like be a LARPing be a bartender serving God, because it's like very difficult to like do that even, but it's still possible, and like that's kind of what I was saying, like depending on what you're doing, it can, it's harder for a businessman, and I think then like a ball boy at a golf course or something, he can just be up in fairyland most of the time while he's working. That's kind of me doing Amazon.
right.
It's like again, I am thinking, like not to say it's my dream job. I love working for Amazon so much, but it's I can
Render unto Bezos that which is Bezos's.
it's interesting that while I'm doing that, I can also, you cannot serve God and mammon, they say, but I'm just saying it's interesting that I, like am at the same time I'm, pursuing these other aims, like by listening to things. Um, I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got a good pattern, I think, of intake and
Yeah, it's
outtakes.
interesting. I don't
Outtakes?
know. It's
LOL.
kind of weird though because it's very disembodying where I'll be listening to some super far out thing, and then like, Amazon customer opens the door and I'm like, changing dimensions, like trying to dial onto the same page as them. And they're, yeah, it's very difficult. So, it's like part of me, it's embodied to some extent because I'm doing things, but
Yeah.
also it's like my mind is in a totally different place.
You're embodying
Yeah.
Hermes, dude. You're literally a messenger. You're carrying messages
Maybe
and
sometimes I
gifts.
get crazy messages from like customers or locations that I go to. Like this one's kind of dark, but recently I went to one.
I'm just thinking of like turn your life around lane. Jonathan, you need to move out of your parents'
Yeah, yeah,
house. Drive.
yeah, yeah. I mean, some of them have been pretty like blunt like that, but nothing, no street signs. Um, yeah, the other day I
Yet.
just went to a ominous stop. I think I'm gonna give up on forgetting what I was gonna say because I think it's
Great.
just yeah. Um,
Sacrifice it.
yeah,
Bye bye.
begun. Yes. Um, I went to a creepy stop the other day, which had a beware of rats sign. As I and it was like a joke, I think. And there was like a bunch of rats,
You hope.
like fake rats, on the sign basically. And at the beginning of the driveway. And it was house number 81. And there was also a a stagnant fountain next to a statue of the Virgin Mary with the head lopped off, which was kind of just like I didn't know how to process that, and I just kind of wanted to leave. And there was also a sleeping angel, and I was like, "There's too much going on at this house number 81, dude, with the beware of rats." I'm like, I need to leave, you know. So I just,
See,
but I've also had
you
like people will say things that's just like it's just like that's not things people usually say, and I'm like, what?
yeah. What I'm thinking about right now is the tension or the contradiction of being fearless and having the full armor of God and like, you know,
Are you talking about like going to a place like that's creepy like that?
yeah, and just being like, okay, okay, cool. You lopped off the statue of Mary's head.
Yeah, the
Like,
thing is, I feel like it might have just fallen and
we do
like,
not worship, we do not worship idols made by hands. Like my deep Protestantism comes out, and I just am kind of like, okay, dude, like plow through this creepy images and deliver the mail. God damn it. No, that's not at all what I was meaning to say, but I got carried away
that's
by the bit.
funny. That's
Um,
funny. I dig
but
it.
but then there's also that's intention, right? With feeling this, listening to the spirit.
Part of it was also just that like I didn't want to get wrapped up in thinking about it. Um, like such that I think a lot of times with synchronicities like that, you kind of have to Gal had said once you have to play hard to get. And in terms of like y- like if you just like go full reading into everything, it's more like just taking notes of these things
Mm-hmm.
and then like maybe later on or sometimes it'll really strike you like the significance, but
Yeah.
if it's not immediate like that, it's better I think just to take a note and like move on. Like I took pictures actually. I have to be careful taking pictures in people's lawns, but it's like
Just do it.
because part
Do
of
it
me
with the
could
phone to
think
the side of your head. Sneak
yeah,
clandestine.
that's true. Um, because part of me thinks that it's like it's this is some reflective thing about the state of my life. It's like there's rats to beware of, and like, it's like there's uh the divine feminine is in shambles or something, and it's the angels are sleeping and and um but another part of me thinks that it's maybe like trying to tell me about something else that's not
Yeah.
directly about me, so it's like these things you can't like be too you can't schizo about it, I suppose
Yeah.
would be the word. Yeah.
Yeah. Ints are great mystic teachers in this regard.
Yeah.
It's like, don't be hasty,
Yeah.
and ints have powerful magic. So it's kind of like that. Um, yeah, there's a sense in which jumping to conclusions is not helpful. But okay, let me tell you the sense that I have been feeling about you, though we have had very little conversation as
Sure.
of late. Um, so for one, I've really loved your conversations with Sherry. Um,
I'm glad.
every time I see, y'all's two faces on the screen, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be great. Like I'm gonna disregard my day LARP for a few hours while I watch this, maybe twice. Um, and then, but you had two recent videos, and I haven't seen all your recent videos. I'm not caught up. My apologies.
No
Um,
worries. I post a lot. Like I feel like Paul Vanderklay in this moment. Yeah.
yeah. Well, it's fun too because I'm like, some of them I have to watch because I'm like, this is exactly the vibe I'm on. It's I'm choosing my synchronicities.
Hmm.
Um, but then some of the ones I'm like, okay, put that on watch later. Like I don't have 30 minutes to really grapple with anthroposity and etheric vision.
Understandable.
I need to make my sales calls. Like I can't be. It's like that flipping that you were talking about, right? Like the switching of dimensions. And
Hmm.
you can't always be in the fourth dimension or the eighth
Yeah.
dimension or
The
whatever.
goal is
But
the integration of these various dimensions or something.
right, right, right. Or just the kind of um there is an aspect of like, yes, I need all of them at once always. But
Yeah.
then there's also the sense of like being able to dance in between and like um accepting that the human level of things is the right starting point for most interactions. The kind of I am
Mhm.
a human, like
Yeah, it
you are
reminds me of
human.
Luke Thompson said that the personal is the thing that binds the four other P's. So it's like the actual human to, I don't know
Yeah,
how it
yeah,
fits
yeah,
exactly, but yeah.
yeah, yeah. Absolutely. I think that wasn't exactly what I was saying, but that's I think a better way of saying what I was saying. It's like, yeah, that is the right level of analysis. But the other thing that I oh
I also heard you in the respect that like there are times where it's, it's, but it's more about just one in particular or something,
right, right, right. But the point, so this was my read on your mental status, or not mental status. This was the vibe
I'll
that I
take it. I'm curious.
this was the vibe that I was getting, was because I watched the conversation with you and Owen, which was delightful because uh well, Owen's filthy mouth is, very lovable. I too was once an edgy Christian who really, let the obscenities flow like delicacies, honey's on the lips. Um, but then also he was giving you kind of some heavy little o orthodoxy, kind of being like, why wouldn't it just be the way that the church has always believed instead of this new crazy thing that you're bringing up that also sounds like Gnosticism, you heretic? Like it was that was like a fun interaction. And I felt like you handled that very, very well. And
Thank you, man.
you handled a little bit of kind of rough play. And then I didn't watch all of it, but I kind of like listened to it on the background.
Oh man,
Your
I gotta
your
interrupt you. I gotta interrupt you because at the end of it, I added a song at the end, and that was kind of the culmin. I almost don't want to spoil it for you, but that's kind of
No,
the
no, no. I
culmin.
did listen. I did listen to all of that one. I
Okay,
did. What
okay,
I didn't
okay.
listen to was the next video, which is the your defense of astrology. But it wasn't like I listened to it and I was like I turned it off because I like disagreed or anything like that. It was just more like I got a call in work or like something
Mhm.
distracted me and I just put it down. And when I picked it up, opened the app again, I chose something else. Um, but it was what the feeling I got from both of those videos um was a sense, and in watching you and Sherry, is a sense of a growing strength or a growing confidence in the the signals that you're getting that kind of tell you you're on the right track. And so I thought that was like, if you haven't noticed that about you, then it would be hopefully very encouraging to you to know that like I
No,
see you
yeah,
getting stronger. Let me put my dog out. He's yelling at me real quick. Hold on.
sure. Actually, can you hear me still? Do you mind thoughts on like a 2-minute break?
Sure. I don't.
And
Do you need a
also,
break?
I appreciate you so much, man. I can't even tell you. Well, okay, 2 minutes. We'll be all right. All
All right.
right.
Did you like that song I sent you?
I did. Yes, I very much so did.
It's the only thing the muses have granted me in quite some time.
Yeah.
Which I say that, but the way that it works for me, it seems, is that I'll make something, I'll really hate it for like, or I'll really love it for like 2 days, and then I'll forget about it, and I'll listen back maybe a week later or a month later, and I'll really not like it. I'll really not think much of it.
Your mic's a little quiet.
Yeah, sorry. I'll really not like it. I'll really like not think much of it, and then I'll come back like a couple months later, and I'm like, oh wow, I was really onto something there. And so it's
Yeah.
kind of like right now my artistic process is really about catching that immediate spark and then figuring out how to like steward it to a complete artistic work. Because as much as I love the kind of ejaculatory nature of improvisational production, and I mean by that in musical production, there is a certain amount of curation and editing that is required for like a true artistic work or whatever. But it's certainly a balance, and at least I want to be purposeful in which songs that I leave kind of experimental and unfinished versus the songs that I really try to polish up.
Yeah.
Um, but all of these are like knobs, right? And so like this is why it frustrates me when hyper polished and quote unquote excellent art is kind of compared to improvisational or experimental art. Because in a real sense, they're doing different things. Like it's but then again, like of course I'm just making excuses because my music isn't finished and isn't good enough, doesn't sound like the your favorite album of all time.
No, I don't think so.
So I'm a bad
I think it's
artist,
a great point actually. That like, there's this it's kind of there's not really we don't even have really a thought category for, that distinction, you know, in terms of uh like almost like maybe like middle art or something, you know? Like it kind of sounds like Middle Earth, but like middle
Well,
art where it's like
not to make this a diatribe about me trying to, the way that I make art and why more artists should make art like me and how much of a travesty it is that
yeah,
people don't
bro.
understand what I'm doing. It's like, I mean, I made a song called Art Sucks because of this very reason.
Hmm.
And I tried to force myself to make the decision that embarrassed me most for the whole song. Like I tried to cringe
Mm.
myself in making it basically.
Mm.
And I'm very proud of that song. And I'm very proud that many people would listen to it and think that it's horrible chaos, gross. How could this be art? Like this
I'm
is
gonna link it, bro.
ugliness.
I'm gonna link it in this.
Feel free.
I
Yeah,
think
intercut it.
I enjoyed it. You know, I think it's I like the, you know, it's like of course there's a danger in like the tradition, you know, it's almost a traditional thing at this point. This thing where people are like critiquing art, you know, but like there is I think it's rare that you see somebody actually kind of uh you know be like art is not what you think. Artists think about art differently, and it's like not, you know, yeah. I mean, and I think ideally it's when it's not too intentional, you know, like you were talking about overly polished stuff. And I think that like your approach is good in terms of you know, just catching the spark, and then like if it doesn't feel like you have to produce it and finish it out at the immediate moment, maybe it'll happen some other time, you know, and like it's kind of that when uh your ability to master the tools uh is like your ability to translate that spark or something. So like once you're proficient with the technology, then like it makes it much easier to catch the spark or something, you know, like
When you think of technology, like you have to be careful. It just means these external means.
This conversation technology.
Yeah.
and but I really like
Well,
what you're saying just about like, you know, there's other aspects of art in general, you know.
and I think we're getting close to the. I think one of the reasons why I really enjoy TLC, and specifically what I mean about TLC is not necessarily TLC or the Peterson sphere or anything like that. It's the growing group of people that are realizing that regular conversations between regular ass people on topics that you don't really get to hear about or talk about that often. One way to put that is like bleeding edge or avant-garde, like cutting edge. Like this is why TLC was like a perfect fit for me, was because I have a love of not the polish. Like I'm actually in this stage of my life less and less interested in hearing a conversation between um I mean, pick your person, Chris Williamson and Tucker Carlson,
Hmm.
or like these people who are really good at speaking, and really good at kind of articulating their points, like Jordan Peterson. And like it's still fun to kind of think about, like, oh man, I'd love to hear Kierkegaard and the Apostle Paul converse, like that's a fun thing to think about. But like my point is that in some respects I've done the whole like polish thing, climb the hierarchy of accessibility and popularity. And I know what types of sacrifices you have to make to be excellent, not only to be excellent in that, but also to be excellent and, let's say, like make a living off of it. Um, and even beyond that, to like feel a sense of gratitude and satisfaction in the work of your hands and the toil of the sweat of your brow in regards to working hard. Those, you kind of have to pick two out of those three, like the satisfaction, the the living, and the art. Like, and so because of that, I looking back, I can see that I made choices along the way. Like I could have stayed in the make podcast intros and background music for primarily Christian YouTube types or Christian podcasts and or church, church related things. That was an opportunity open to me at one point, and I decided not to do it. And then there was the opportunity that I tried at, which was making avant-garde music that, might be popular, which, by the way, is the first album that me and, I guess secondly or technically it's the second album we collaborated on, but Inan, Isaac Inan, aka He Who Laughs, who you recently clipped for the Sherry
Oh
video.
yeah.
That was cool. Yeah, that's my homie from back in the day. So I mean, he's still my
Yeah, I hope he
best
liked
friend,
that.
but
You know, I hope he
we'll see.
contacted me,
I
found
didn't
love.
I didn't reach out and ask him about it, but we'll see. We'll see. I'm sure he did,
I hope so. I hope other people will also, like I hope people check him out. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I
Yeah.
hope people do too. So me and him have made lots of music together. And we on what I think really is at least my magnum opus in terms of producing. And really
At
I
least so
couldn't
far. Yeah.
well, yeah, so far. But like we were really in the zone and we kind of finished this in 2020 or 2021, this album. So we finished it during COVID, which was like the perfect excuse for me to like kind of go down to Savannah and not have as many like expectations on me, so I snuck down to Savannah a couple times and just kind of hung with him the whole time. And it was really like looking back, it was like you know top 5 life experience moments just working on that album. And so we did the thing of like getting down to the granular level, making as many choices as we could in terms of like making it as good as we could. And then 2 things happened. One is just because I made something that I think is really, really good and ahead of its time and, got a good beat and easy to dance to. If I don't, no need to, I don't mean to brag, but I really think that it's like excellent, excellent work, but it's still, and it was kind of like what exactly me and him wanted to make in a lot of ways. And 2 things, the 2 things that I wanted to say was it gained a lot less traction than I thought it would. I thought it would kind of like get this huge underground following. I didn't know that I thought that, but once it didn't and my heart sunk, I realized that I expected that to happen. And I just believed in it. I thought it was amazing. And I still
like
do.
me. It's like me with every video I post.
Yeah.
But not,
Exactly.
I'm
get it, yeah.
exaggerating. I'm exaggerating.
Yeah. But then the second thing that happened was now when I listen back, I still really, really like it. But I hear a lot of mistakes. I hear a lot of mixing mistakes, like a lot of the things that which in some ways like it was a team effort continually, but like I think because both of us, and it's under his name as an artist too, so he was the ultimate authority on most things, but there's still I still feel a weird sense of responsibility and like, oh man, I could have tuned that kick drum a little differently, or like the snare's a little loud in this section, like stuff like that, little nitpicks. And so but then recently, and that was kind of like the height of my artistic production too, in terms of just like the amount of stuff I was making. But now that I've got this new job where I kind of use up a lot of my
Telesis. This is the word that Chris Langan would use. I know, not for,
okay, yeah, lay that out. What is
not,
telesis?
not to say I'm a CTMU guy, and not to say there's anything wrong with being a CTMU guy, but it's that it's this idea that like telesis is like your kind of mind and will and energy. It's kind of something like that, and you invest your telesis into like, you only have so much of this kind of psychic energy that you can direct towards
Yeah.
things, and like things can steal your telesis, like advertisements or something, like and
basically all of that utility, all of that telesis is concentrated in the hands of a parasitic overclass, in their potentates and sycophants, like those that control multinational corporations, governments, and international financial and political institutions.
Underground theory talks about this as time energy, one word,
Yeah.
portmanteau, smashed together.
Heard that.
Time energy.
Like
Yeah.
it came to mind because there's a video of Chris Langan on my channel talking about money, and he's like, you can't, if you're trying to pursue your, there's so many different, your true purpose or whatever, but you're also trying to get a whole bunch of money that's going to steal your telesis, and you won't be able to do the higher things,
Yeah.
When all people care about is making some money, people invest their telesis, their mind, and their will into money. This is how the common saying goes: pay attention. This commoditizes the world. Everything is like a little video game where the reward is these Federal Reserve notes, and the more you play, the more they control you. You might think that you're rich, but the more utility you're providing to this system, the more you are a slave to it. And now they're trying to make everything, to make a central bank digital currency and digital ID, and everything will be in a physical in a Facebook metaverse, a non-physical, just this tech world where we don't even need physical reality anymore. They can track and control you, and you'll basically have lost your autonomy and freedom and no longer be human in any real sense.
Yeah.
You're subscribing to a tell-on that is designed to get you money, and that tell-on now controls your thoughts. It's not going to let any distractions through by way of reality for you. You're not going to be able to keep those things in mind anymore, because it's all about getting money, furthering the interests of the corporation, right? Not running afoul of corporate culture.
What if someone says, I want to be a philanthropist like Bill Gates?
Well,
I don't know if it's perfectly fitting, but it just came to mind.
I'm working on a song right
too,
now.
you know?
I'm working on a song right now called Mammon, where I'm really, in one sense, I'm like wrestling with the fact that in some ways money is nihilistic, in the sense that you get money so that you can buy what you want. But they say, like, in order to get money, basically you have to spend money to make money, and you make money to spend money. And I can recognize that, and while at the same time be like, man, my life seems like it will really suck if I give up this job where I'm making as much money as I've ever made in my life. If I give this job up and get a job where I make less money, I will have a worse life. But then it's also like, maybe not. Maybe I'll have a better life, maybe. But then there's also the sense of like, we don't have money now. What we have is a monetary system. And by that, I mean, we have to have personal identification. We have to have PIN numbers. We have to have account numbers, routing numbers. We have all of these, like, it's kind of creepy, like.
Yeah. Sorry, I was muted. I said like birth certificate and stuff like that as well.
Yeah, we have to have a birth certificate, a social security number, fingerprints. God gave us fingerprints, and wouldn't you know it, they're all unique. Like, why would he do that? It's like it's almost like he wanted to identify us or something. But he also knows the hairs on our head. Maybe that's completely unique too. And now when you're bald, every bald man has the same number of hairs on his head. I'm not God, but I know the hairs on all of the bald men's heads. Infinite
Very
zero.
impressive.
Yeah, infinite zero. I'm such a powerful intellect. Matthew Parlato would be so envious of me.
Dude, I want to talk with Matthew Parlato. I haven't.
Me too.
There's so many people that I've been meaning to talk with, that I've already talked with, or that I want to talk with who I haven't, and it's just kind of there's.
Well, there were daily live streams once upon a time.
Yeah, I didn't mean to interrupt your thing though.
No,
that's true though. Luke, wait, where's Luke at?
Yo, Luke, where you at? I really hope that when he no longer is doing this kind of, I think he said it's kind of like a summer job, and he's going to reevaluate in the fall. I'm really hoping, and if you call it a prayer, I'm trying to encourage him. I hope he sees this, but maybe not, because I just want to talk about him as if he weren't here. Because I really hope that he takes a leap of faith into the podcast, daily community building, grifting, like just
kind of like a Grim Grizz almost.
Yeah, and he doesn't have to, obviously it would be different than Grim Grizz, but just having a link where people can donate money and just mentioning it every other stream or something like that, and just being like, if you want to pay for my kids' waffles that I can make again, click here. Or if you want to, maybe in the future, join my online disciples of personalist knowing for a small fee of, $5.99.
I wonder if the group would be called like the people or something, because it's like the persons, maybe.
The persons project. The Parsons
Dude, yeah,
project.
I'm largely with you here. You know, like I don't know exactly what it would look like, of course, but and that's not really for me to decide, of course, or but you know, I agree that like I like his suggestion about or his idea of a podcast and stuff. I would, you know, part of me was like, yeah, I want to co-host this with him. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
although I haven't even like posted a conversation with him yet, but
I
you know,
mean,
it's
we
like,
could donate like a couple conversations, a week or something, just like Jacob's channel. He's got lots
yeah,
of
no,
people who kind of,
if he's looking for like people to be there for day one and stuff, you know, I'm on the list. That's for sure.
yeah, if he needs like a
Yeah.
recurring sideshow or something, you and I
Yeah,
can do
maybe
it.
the McMo and John like
Yeah.
circus comes into town at the end of the week or something.
Let's talk heresy.
Whoa. Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think that would be cool if he like I just like his, you know, I like his ramblings and then I also like his sort of community being, you know?
He's really, really, really excellent, maybe world class at saying things and thinking thoughts that make others want to chime in and give their 2 cents.
I think
And
yeah,
whether it's,
that's true.
whether it's people who are like, you finally said something that I've been thinking for a long time, or it's people who are like, you're incoherent, uh, you know, heretic, but gosh darn it, I can't stop watching you. Maybe it's the
Mhm.
mustache. Hint, hint, Luke. Also, I hope you grow your mustache back. Um, Easy to
Well, the
brand,
one where he had the mustache and the black and white stripes and the
The
sunglasses.
sunglasses,
Oh my
dude.
God, dude.
So perfect. That
I
it
loved
like
it.
if he just wore that every day
Yeah.
and streamed like a Twitch streamer, he would make bank, dude.
How do I stay on topic? And there needs to be room for someone to first practice that, so then in the quote unquote real world they could start actually making judgments and decide for themselves, is this the person I'm looking up to?
Just
I think
watch
that's
it. Just
yeah.
have him react to Pete Rollins videos and like old dude. He could like, but see, I wonder to what extent. See, I'm older than you, right? So you're closer to the like Twitch addicted populace.
I was
I'd
there
say.
at one point watching Twitch, you know, every day.
Yeah, yeah, and so the problem is though, it's just like the music industry. It's just like any art. Um, Success tends to be as much of a curse as it is a blessing.
Yeah, no, I was just thinking that as we're sitting here chuckling and you know, like we don't want to stroke his
Yeah.
ego too much.
We want Luke's to ruin it to Luke to ruin his life by
Yeah.
becoming YouTube famous.
Yeah.
Just
No, we
live
don't want
streaming every
that.
day.
You know, I can also appreciate the whole like maybe he should focus on raising his children, you know. But, you know, I would love to because you can tell that he's like that's what he's kind of that's what most fits him as a human or something. I don't know what he does right
Really
now, and
good at it.
you know, maybe
Maybe
he
he's so amazing at landscaping that it
yeah,
really
who
does.
am I to say? I don't know.
Once you
Yeah.
see this man landscape, you're like,
Yeah.
never get on YouTube again. But
Yeah.
obviously, us his YouTube fans would have no access to that.
Yeah, that would yeah. Yep. This is the case. Yeah.
Or maybe it's simpler than that. Maybe we're overthinking it. Maybe he just realizes that he looks better when he's got covered in dirt, and he feels better. He look good, feel good, play good, And so
Yeah, if you're on YouTube all day, you get pretty like
yeah,
start looking
droopy
like
shoulders.
XQC, you know, in that edit. Mhm.
Insert here.
Yeah, maybe I'll do that.
Crazy, he's kind of insane, when they do this.
Chat,
I mean,
what?
I'm not even looking at chat like this is insane, like it's absolutely.
What, is that my maids? Jesus. Look at all the views and all the money though, there's so much of it. That was nice. It was nice, chat. I'll put it in the chat. And oh shit, I'm doing the pose. Okay, well done. We're done. We can move on now.
It's a little creepy. Yeah.
Well, Jonathan, I hate to break it to you, you're a little creepy, dude.
True.
Not really. Although your defensive astrology video, what the aesthetic was a little creepy. It was dark. You know, you were
Yeah, my intention was to like be more.
you were standing in your masculinity, bro. You're standing on business, and I respect it. Should we trash talk to people who overlook astrology?
No, I think no.
What do you think the best argument against astrology is? The first one that I'm thinking about, like the Instagram pages that I get served, where it's like I saw one the other day, maybe it was today. I saw like a quick video of this girl who was like, if astrology is fake, why do all Sagittarius men look like this? And then the picture was of the main character from a Bee movie, The Bee. And I'm a Sagittarius, and I thought to myself, I don't look like that. I kept scrolling, and then it came back into my mind. I was like, maybe I do look a little bit like that. You know, so that's what my best attempt at like why astrology is bullshit. Like, it's because of those types of people who kind of misuse it.
Yeah, no, yeah. You know, I can understand it. It's a very understandable, you know, like I was of that mind for a very long time. You know, that like astrology is just totally whack. There's so many, you know, like crazy people or people doing crazy things about it. Hey.
Holy shit, they were right. It's all connected, dude.
Sure.
That's my best attempt at like why astrology is bullshit. Like, it's because of those types of people who kind of misuse it.
As understandable as that is, you know, I just don't think, I definitely don't see it as like it's not a valid, you know, it's like saying, you know, it's like, I don't know. I think it's pretty straightforward that like you can't judge something just by like, I guess it's like you shall know them by their fruits and stuff, but it's like at the same time, it's like somebody has to actually, you know, like let's say the best apples grow on the top of the tree, and then somebody goes and pulls off like a brand new apple that's not even ready yet, and then they're like, oh, this apple's shit, I'm never going back to the astrology tree, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a good.
No, I think it's I mean, that's a really good image. If I am being like as honest as I can be, I think that my opinion on astrology at this moment is something like kind of like, oh, of course it's true. You know, like but in a way that like when you finally get the first one that just came to my mind was like why Deadpool's uniform is red. You know, it's because it covers up the blood. Like that kind of like understanding of like a joke or
I'm having an aha moment right now.
A trick of like, yes, of course the stars are, everything is just so. Of course it's all meant, it's all working as a piece, and that the will of God is something that you can interact with through his creation. And
I just remembered the thing I forgot, which is to do
hell
it.
yeah.
You know, you were talking about this distinction between accepting God's, you know, like where the Lord has put you, and also maybe like imposing your own will. And something about that I think connects in a way where that God's will is creation, you know, and we are part of creation. So our will, insofar as we are connected, you know, like is like you choosing something is also in a sense God choosing a different job for you. You know, it's just how closely can you actually hear what God is telling you to do. You know, like maybe God actually wants you to get a different job, man. I don't know.
Yeah, well, and that's why it's interesting, right? Because there's all these stances you can take, right? Like I can take exactly what you said, which I agree with, and I've been kind of thinking that, which is also me just thinking
Me
like
too.
maybe I need a new job, you know, but
yeah.
But it's also this interaction with like, I know myself as a person. I know that after 2 years doing the same thing, I tend to want to do something else. Once I'm done learning how to do the job, I tend to not like the job. Once it's in that like just steady state mode.
Yeah, and it's also kind of like that sometimes with like a spiritual practice, you know, there's a time where the fasting is really unpleasant, but then, you know, you get through that.
Right. And so, and then I'm also kind of like, you know, it's maybe a Buddhist notion, but I think it's more just like a mystic notion of like, the idea of like a dharma, right? Like it's back to this is the day that the Lord has made. You know, like this is the exact day that God has had in plan for me, like had in plan for me. Yeah. Why does that phrase not sound right? In plan, had in
In
store.
mind, I think it's in store.
This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it.
And I
I don't
think
know
when you
why.
do, I think maybe it connects insofar as when you do that, then you're able to hear what God is trying to manifest through you or something.
Right. Well, I don't think it's like as simple as like you do the right thing, you get the reward. Right. Like
No, yeah, yeah.
it's
I'm saying that you might not be able to discern if you should get a new job unless you are kind of enjoying the day of the Lord where you're at,
yeah,
you know?
it's really this is what I'm struggling with because I'm like it's always that question, right? Like of if God wanted me to have a new job, I'd get an email, you know, and or a text and it would just say like you know, you've been selected for the army of the Lord. Like, you know, like I don't know, you might be like me in this, but like there's a part of me that really desires to just kind of get that message from God that says like this is what's true, this is what you're doing for the rest of your life. You know, and it's not that far fetched because a lot of people I think have that experience even if they wouldn't put it in that kind of phrase, like they'll put it that way. Like doing the same job, accepting your lot versus maybe God's calling you to adventure. You know, maybe I need to quit my job and really take a step in faith. You know, this is what some people will say. Like, I need to take a step in faith. I need to give my 2 weeks, and then kind of like the adrenaline of that and the peace of that will, and you know, God will catch me when I fall, kind of a thing. McMo, this is your calling.
I don't know, you've talking to me a bunch of times about like certain convictions that you've experienced or something, you know, like I don't know, for me, like I feel like we do kind of share in a sense like that sort of feeling that there is something, you know, like we know that there is something of ultimate concern, right? Which and like we're both keen to a certain imminence or the potential of imminence, you know, like
A story from the Bible is coming to mind.
sure.
It is are you familiar with the story of Martha and Mary, two sisters of Lazarus?
Vaguely, yeah.
So one of the stories, and I can't remember which book it's in, but it's pretty important story. At least it was for me growing up. Um, and it's the story of Jesus coming to Mary and Martha's house. And Martha can't stop cleaning up the house, basically. Jesus is there, and Mary is the type who's like still dusting. She's still like straightening pillows. She's like constantly like, "Can I get you anything?" Like, won't sit down. Meanwhile, Mary is sitting at Jesus's feet and basically just like listening to Jesus and, you know, talking with him. You know, probably asking him questions though about like, how is the road? You know,
Just
like have you,
vibing.
yeah, have you done any cool miracles recently? You know, like this is my imagination. This is not a scripture. But she was at Jesus's feet, listening, learning.
The
And then
distinction is kind of like, you know, between heavenly minded and earthly minded in a way.
yep. And so Martha comes over, and she basically is like, Jesus, tell Mary to help me. And we should look it up. I should look it up.
I'm pretty sure it is that Martha, like Mary is, you know, it's said that Mary is doing nothing wrong, you know, by spending time with
She's
Christ.
chosen the right thing, is kind of what I remember it being like. So it's not just that she's not doing, you know, it's not just the like negative, like she's not doing anything wrong, she can just chill. It's also that like, no, she's actually chosen the better thing. Martha works hard to welcome Jesus to her home. Her sister Mary of Bethany simply sits at his feet and listens. Both Mary and Martha serve, yet Mary understands. See, this is both Mary and Martha serve. I'm like, okay, that's weird that you needed to say that. That seems extra biblical, whatever. Yet Martha understands the priority and necessity of choosing to abide with Christ. This is the type of thing that would make me think that a Catholic wrote this. Someone who
Yeah, I
works
understand this. You know,
righteousness.
I remember shortly before we first had our first conversation, I made that video about the Sagittarius, the Temperance card. Remember
I do not.
the Temperance? It was called the Guardian Angels, and it was talking about the balance between Mary and Martha in that one. And I know Sherry really likes that story.
Well, of course I would be thinking about this, because I am a Sagittarius.
Um,
You are worried and upset about many things, but few things are needed, or indeed only one. Only one thing is needed. Mary has chosen what is better, and it will not be taken away from her.
it also reminds me of like that the whole the company is coming meme. Have you seen that video? Company is
No.
coming. We have to
Oh.
we have to clean the house. We can't let them know we sit. It's like
Yeah. No, I just experienced this in real life.
Yeah.
Just had friends over and had to clean up our whole house.
We gotta clean the house now, people. Company is coming. Get rid of the couches. We can't let people know we sit. There cannot be any sign of living in this house.
What's coming to mind is that this is also an idea that I use to justify getting distracted, not doing what I should be doing. It's like, oh no. I can't be bothered with the dishes, dear. I've got this video on etheric vision to attend to. Thank you very much. Like, a wizard is never early,
Yes, this is the Sagittarian dilemma, to be so heavenly minded that we are of no earthly good.
Yes.
Tomberg talks about how like the Mary and Martha and the temperance between the two.
Well, I think one would be tempted to think that the tension is between Mary and Martha, but really that's like most people are very content being either Mary or Martha, But what doesn't make it a perfect tension or whatever is the fact that Christ says that Mary has chosen the better thing. Has chosen what is better.
That's true.
And it will not be taken away from her. Almost as if what Mary or what Martha was doing would in some way be taken away from her. Jesus says, like, this is the good thing, and like, but why can't I just like in this world, like, why do I feel messed up when I, instead of cleaning my room like Jordan Peterson and my boss would prefer,
I'm trying to remember. I assume Tomberg read that part as well, so I'm trying to remember what he said about this, because I'm probably just misremembering what Tomberg said about this Mary Martha thing. I don't remember exactly, but of course there is some balance, right? Like if we were just totally,
it's dangerous to introduce the Bible, because for brains like mine, it is everything. It's just so connected to everything, and it's really like, it's a real temptation to not treat it as
maybe we should play that little, I'm pretty sure it's only a 2-minute Tomberg clip. I remember it was a bit
jarring. Let's do it. Let's find it, dude.
And maybe introduce some extra biblical material to spice things up. I don't know.
Spicy. I'm so stoked at how it's just been great hanging out with you, dude.
I feel the same, man. I feel bad that we had that little pause there, because I really did I appreciate your kind of I don't know, just mention of my recent videos and stuff. I don't know if you had more to say, or if like you were looking for any particular response or anything.
No, but I can say more. I can.
I just don't want to leave you hanging. Like if there was, like.
Well, if you felt like it was totally off base, I felt like I was potentially using a form of white magic that may feel vulnerable or sensitive or tender or embarrassing.
No, it was just that I wanted to grab some food and you had to let your dog out.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, actually, I was reminded when you said that right before we started this call, I just listened to the very end of Formscape's most recent video, and just things really have been for me like cohering, and I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that I've been there's people who I can have conversations with this stuff about now. I was really in Normie land. And except, I love the normies, but it's
Shouts out to the normies. What are you doing here this late in the video?
yeah, I'm just
If you've made
joking.
it this far, I've got bad news for you, friends.
You're
You're not
not a
a normie.
normie.
Edit that out, Jonathan. Edit that out. Don't. I'm going to try to defend astrology, that kind of thing. I like it. It calms me down.
Hopefully my condescending tone was not too off-putting in this one.
I'm the biggest Dumir fan in the world, dude. Like you literally
I
could
appreciate
not.
your patronage, bro. Your support, that's what it's really about. I mean, in this particular instance, in this moment of experience, is that I'm feeling appreciative for the support. It means a
It would
lot.
be hilarious if it was just all about you kind of amassing a huge fan
Do you
base.
imagine, like, dude, there would be so many better ways to gain subscribers. Although I will admit to that, like sometimes I am trying to impress or
Impress the ladies out there.
impress the person who I'm clipping, or to like like
Oh, I see.
help
Yeah.
them connect the dots on what they're saying, or like also, like sometimes I hope that particular people see a video or something.
Yes.
But
Yes.
generally, trying to serve the Lord out here. That's what I'm trying to do.
Maybe you could experiment with like just at the end of the videos like that being like, and I really hope that Paul Vanderklay watches this video,
Yeah. Sometimes I worry that the people who are in the clips will see them. Like I would rather they don't. But
That's how I felt. I made a video on my channel. It was pretty political. I posted videos that were just really salient to me, and I kind of trusted the muse on like how the editing and music kind of serendipitously came together to, make me it was a mirror to how absurd I felt like the whole situation was. And so I was kind of like worried that somebody would see that I clipped them and feel like I was making fun of them or something. But such is the danger of posting spicy.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking with that the clip that I recently sent you, that the one that you were in. I was gonna
Oh yeah.
One of the things I wanted to ask you, because it was primarily you in that one who I was thinking about, because you got a little fired up. And
oh wait, which clip? Did I see this?
Yeah, it's talking about doctors, and I'm not trying to.
What did I say in it? That's just what I want to know. Did I
You're
embarrass
just
myself?
raving against the medical industrial complex, basically.
Oh.
And
yeah.
But it was mainly, Christian Baxter talking about how, we give all this respect to the doctors, but a lot of times they don't really.
Peace be upon them.
They're just kind of humans, Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was gonna ask you today if I should post that.
Oh, it's not public? Well, post it. I don't care.
I think it was a great one. I really like
Yeah.
what Christian Baxter was saying. I really like what you were saying.
Yeah, I sorry, I didn't realize that you'd never posted that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, heard that.
I mean, I said
Perhaps I'll
it's
post that.
already public, it's out there somewhere.
Yeah, it's
I'm
true.
not
Yeah.
well, I've got it right here. I've got it pulled up now, and
Zach Galifianakis with the numbers flowing over the screen. I'm talking about, like, oh, that's what the doctor's like. It's like, no, he's kind of like throwing a blunt instrument at a problem sometimes. And we create these algorithms.
What was the context? We were talking about Mary Martha. Oh yeah, no, I was gonna say. Oh, yes, I was gonna say that I was watching this Form Skits video, and he really articulated what I was, like this thing that I've been circumambulating, and like I feel like I had this radical encounter talking about a phenomena / faculty with implications on a large scale, particularly relevant to our time. That's kind of the gist, right? About human interaction. And I feel like, and I was talking about talking with people, how it's real nice to talk with all sorts of people. That's been very reassuring in terms of I feel less pressed and insane in terms of trying to articulate it. Now I feel less hopeless in this respect. And
I was about to say, maybe for me at least, it's not that I don't feel any less insane. I just feel very grateful that I have found a community where it's okay to be insane.
Sure, yeah. No, I'm good. That's good enough for me. Yeah. And yeah, and I Yeah, and I feel like people, there's other people talking about similar stuff now, and it's cool.
Have you ever thought about doing preview clips at the beginning of your longer conversations? That might be pretty
No,
funny.
I've never
if for
thought
this
about that.
conversation, if for this conversation you did like a preview clip and it was like later on, like just like do it.
No,
do
I
it,
actually hate those personally.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You should do that. You should do it ironically.
Coming up later on.
Coming up later on. But wait, you had Tom Berg pulled up for The Balance of Martha and Mary.
Yeah. Okay, but let's do it.
I'm curious.
All right. I'm pretty sure there's a comment. Just watch this because I'm a Sagittarius. Yeah, I have very little understanding of what any of this means. Gotta love
6
it.
months ago.
I appreciate your comments, man. Always.
Hell yeah, brother.
All right.
Now, it is a just measure in the relationship between the image and the likeness, which has to be guarded, and which is, in fact, guarded by the guardian angel. This is why tradition has given the name temperance to the 14th arcanum of the tarot, for it is a matter here of the measure in the fluidic relationship between the image and the likeness, which is necessary for life and health. Just measure in the fluidic relationship between the absolute radicalism of the monad, or the image, and the relativism of the phenomenal personality, or the likeness, constitutes the fundamental principle of spiritual, psychic, and corporeal health. This measure amounts to an always changing equilibrium between eternity and the moment, between the absolute and the relative, between contemplation and action, between the ideal and the phenomenal. Many relevant things can be said concerning the polarity of Mary and Martha, and have indeed been said, but we, all of us, live a healthy life only inasmuch as the two sisters in us are present and active as sisters, i.e. that they collaborate, having in view the third. No one can dispense with the Mary in himself, nor equally with the Martha in himself, and remain healthy in spirit, soul, and body. Pray and work cannot be replaced by any other formula, for one cannot live either without contemplation or without action.
Okay, yeah. Will you go to my channel?
Sure.
What's coming up for me is, and maybe this shows my immaturity. I struggle with valuing temperance versus irrational fidelity. Extremism, fundamentalism. I've got a part in me who would that would.
I feel that. No, I feel that very
It brings
much
it up
so,
that says that, like, yeah, okay, Tom Berg might say I need to synthesize the sisters, but it seems like Christ said that Mary chose the better thing. So who am I going to go with, Tom Berg or Christ? Like, that being said, I think what he's talking about is more so akin to what the phenomenon he's talking about. The words he's using, I think, is referring to the same thing that I refer to when I talk about, and I get this from Kierkegaard, the synthesis of the infinite and the finite.
Yes,
and
that's
the
what
individual
I'm thinking, yeah.
being the synthesis of the individual and the finite. And so you could just play a little clip of it, but if
Sure,
you pull
yeah.
up my channel,
Great. I think that was right in the money there, what you said. Yeah.
A human being is a synthesis of the infinite and the finite, of the temporal, the eternal, of freedom and necessity, in chart of synthesis. A synthesis is a relation between two. Considered in this way, a human being is not a self. That's a long joke. A joke that's hidden in that passage is that the self is not a substantial thing, but a deep relation. It's not even that relation, but the relating of a relation. Now let me try to explain what Kierkegaard's driving at. We are constituted in that paradoxical condition
I don't completely
where we
agree
can do two.
Do elaborate.
That was actually an ironic way of putting it for Kierkegaard. Like, he kind of puts it in this dialectical thing of, like, the self is, spirit, and what is the spirit? Spirit is relation, but not just the relation, they're relating to the relation. But there's the end of that video, and maybe we'll just leave it as a teaser, like the end of that video is where I think that and it's from Kierkegaard's diary or journal or whatever. So that video ends very darkly.
We can keep playing it if you like.
I don't know. It might it might kind of kill the vibe a little bit, because the end of it is a little bit depressing.
When heaven was shut from you and the prayer died on your lips.
Kierkegaard understands what it means to both feel your finitude and wish that you were more than just a finite being. That kind of sense of like, I wish that I just, could focus in, that could lock in to my day job and really, really care, as much as possible about it. And really, like, if I believe I should be serving my earthly masters as if I'm serving the Lord, like, why is there all this wiggle room for me to get distracted, or to, read my Bible or listen to a philosophy video when I should be maybe doing something else? Or at least, giving my full attention to something instead of just like half of my attention while I listen to this thing. But then on the other hand, there's often times when I feel my infinitude, and its inability to kind of be held down and constrained by not only my choices day to day, but also just kind of the things that are oppressed upon me, like the things like my job and the things like my family and all of those things that kind of just are dims to breaks kid, and so that there's this constant like discomfort. And in order to
sorry.
Oh, go ahead. Well, and then the answer to like in order to not feel that discomfort, I think you have to give up. I think you have to take a leap of faith. That is to say, you have to somehow be able to hold an absurd thought as not absurd, but as the only true thing. And that's, easier said than done.
Yeah, I mean that tension, I'm reminded, like, that's kind of the image of the centaur in a way, like this celestial, like the heavenly man and the bestial man.
Two sets of six packs.
How do we know whether or not we should get a new job? Because I'm right there with you. How do I know if I'm spending too much time in the idealistic art world, aiming my bow up into the galactic center?
It's a huge blessing to have a wife, in this respect.
Yeah.
It's really important to be in community. It's really important to have a family, to have people mirroring you and encouraging you. It's like that Kierkegaard thing, right? It's not just your relationship to those people, but it's your relationship with your relationship to those people. It's helpful to have a wife because she's not going to let me be not only unemployed, but probably underemployed. I don't think she would be I was underemployed, and she kind of, did some magic feminine tricks to get me not underemployed, so that now I'm overemployed in some respects. Honestly, I'm just over being employed. Am I right?
Over being?
Over being.
VeggieTales, Lord of the Beans.
We should just turn this into a watch party. I can spoil it for you if you want, but
no,
I'm a VeggieTales stan. I love VeggieTales.
I remember watching some VeggieTales in my day.
Thoughts? It's your channel, brother.
I'm in no particular rush. Like, we could do whatever you want to do, but yeah. I mean, I don't know if I don't know. I did. I appreciate again what you said, and yeah, I do think I do feel more firm in my like my resolve or something. I don't know. There's so much that could be said, but I'm glad that you got that impression,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it was encouraging to me. As president of your fan club, just kind of, state of the union here. Things are looking up, keep on keeping on. And actually, now that I'm talking about it, what's coming to mind is actually a conversation I had with Sandy. Well, it wasn't just me and Sandy. It was in the building, the Bridges of Meaning Discord. and Sandy was talking about I think she has a family member who's a part of the deaf community, and so she's kind of interacted with like trying to learn sign language and just seeing how that community, and there is something really interesting about how sign language and like once you remove the kind of the logos, if you will, how what takes over is kind of a lot of the stuff that you're talking about, the embodiment, the eye contact, the like
Whoa. You said when you remove the logos?
the word, the fact that like, the deaf people haven't heard words, that's all I meant.
Yeah.
But it's not,
Gotcha. I
that
just
mean,
wasn't following, and then
yeah, removing the
clicked.
logos in the way that some people think of the logos is what
Yeah.
I meant. But and I only said that in order to point to your insight that like that logos is actually also embodied not only in the face and the eyes, but in the embodiment, in
Yeah.
the
The way
emotions.
the way I was thinking, first understood what you were saying there was that like when I think that I don't know, I think but sign language is very interesting, like in that way, that systematic way. However, when you first said sign language, I almost blurted out and interrupted you and said mime language, because it's like it's very it's miming, and it's
Yeah.
not I guess once you master it, then maybe it becomes like a flowing thing, just as natural as like how we don't really think about the words we're speaking. So yeah, but I don't know. It strikes me as a little systematic, but of course it's a great thing that like I don't know.
Well, yeah, I just thought of you because it was like
Yeah.
the type of attention, that especially observing it from the outside, because like if sign language is going on, right? But if you can't glean from it, really all you have to go on is like facial expressions and the kind
Yeah.
of rhythm and those kind of non-verbal cues.
Yeah.
And so that to me, that was like a reinforcement of kind of some of the stuff that you've been digging in, as well as the importance of the face and the importance of eye contact. And
Yeah.
I'm still kind of, I think, digesting a lot of the stuff from Steiner, and
As am I.
trying to like digest it and
Yeah,
figure
no.
out what he means really by etheric vision. And
Yeah, I'm still trying to, grasp that myself. However, I did. Yeah.
one
And
thing that just I remembered was I had the same thought because I think it was with Sherry, you were talking about how an artist who like a painter who can't paint somebody they see is the same as the person who's got etheric vision who can't love, or like I can't remember exactly. You probably remember that better.
Yeah, is that one who wants to a eurythmist who is not welcome to eurythmize, like
Right, that's what it is. Yeah,
yeah.
arrhythmia. Yeah.
It's like when you get that spark and you want to make the song, but maybe it's not socially acceptable to make such a vibrant song.
A hot banger.
Yeah.
Dude, society's not ready for these hot beats, man.
Yeah.
Many such cases.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out, the Steiner stuff as well, and it's a little beyond me. But I think I would love to relate to you this Formscapes thing that I suppose we could watch his explanation, or just I could
Give me the oral Torah version of it.
Sure.
What are these Formscapes?
All right. Well, he's speaking as well in a video. He even made the point to say, I figured I'd get here behind the camera to demonstrate a bit. But
who is this? Who is he?
His channel is Formscapes. His name is Keelan. And
So okay, gotcha.
Yeah, he looks like this right here. Bada boom. And
I see.
yeah, would you be interested? This I feel like it connects to the whole concept of etheric vision.
Okay.
And constellation and iconic vision and spiritual sight or whatever you know.
Let's watch it. Let's do it.
Cool, cool.
So we're all probably familiar with the allegory of Plato's cave, right? So you are chained up in the cave, and the cave represents the somatic, physical, immanent world, and you're only able to see shadows which are being projected on the cave wall. And then the idea is to get outside of the cave so you can actually experience the transcendental realm. And of course, this is Plato's allegory for achieving gnosis effectively. But it's a kind of gnosis that really involves kind of getting away from the world, getting away from nature. So what I want to introduce here is another kind of allegory that I've cooked up, and I'm calling it Goethe's cave. And the initial premise is essentially the same, right? You're in a cave, and the cave is nature, and you've got these shadows on the cave wall, and you can't quite figure out what the shadows are of. You can't figure out what objects or entities are projecting the shadow, because the shadow just kind of looks like a blob to you. And so you're sitting there and you're looking at the shadow and you're trying to figure it out, and then you look around and you notice that you've got some like little buttons and levers and stuff that you can play around with. And so you start fiddling with that, and you notice that the shadow starts changing. And so you play around with this for a moment, and eventually you start to realize what's happening. The object behind you, which is casting the shadow on the wall, is on some kind of pedestal or something, and your little buttons and levers are actually rotating or tilting the object behind you so as to change the shadow that it is casting. And so by doing this, you're then able to kind of fiddle around with it, and you're able to actually perceive what the object is, even though you can't actually turn around and look at it, because you can perceive all the different shadows that it can cast. And that then allows you to see with your mind the object which is behind you, even though you can't see it with your eyes. So the allegory here then is that those buttons and levers and whatnot that you have in front of you represent what we could call integral or imaginal consciousness, the capacity for the human ego to actually be directly involved in a conscious way and agential way in the functioning of our own imaginal faculties.
But it's not about getting out of the cave. It's about changing the dials, aka doing things with our consciousness, such that we can change the shadows on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
And then through that, we can actually visualize the objects, even though we can't see them directly. We can see these higher dimensional objects which are casting the shadows, i.e. the cave. And
Right.
thinking about it in the context of people, it's that when you look at a person, there's a higher dimensional being operative through that person, which could maybe be, their guardian angel, like the perfect eternal them, that we were talking about balancing with. Or maybe it's like the spirit of materialism, and then even though you can't see that spirit directly, nonetheless, by understanding the shadows, which are the person's particular gestures and stuff, like you can see through that, these higher level beings, and when you return to the garden after the fall via Christ, it's not the same consciousness, right?
Yeah, I want to talk about that a lot more, but I gotta call it.
All right, we'll keep our eye on the end of the fall.
Keep your eye on the fall. At the end of summer, keep your eye on the fall.
All right, man. This was nice,
dude. It really was.
Yeah.
Let's do it again soon.
Sure. Yeah, I'm down. I'll post those Form C series, and I hope that they find you well and stuff. And I hope to talk about it again soon. Yeah. All right, bro.
It's
I
been
wish-
fun. Peace be unto thee,
you,
brother
man.
Jonathan.
Thank you, man. You as well.